we we got cut off on part one, so we're now on part two. Where were we on part two? Do you remember? Because my memory is actually fish laugh at me now.
Do you know, I was really hoping you weren't going to ask me that, because I don't remember either.
Right, and this is the thing, Daniela. It shows me more and more that you're working in very similar ways to me. It means that nothing is that important that we remember anymore. Because when you become a reader, you read and then you let it go. Because if you were to store that in your memory, what would happen? You'd go insane and you won't be able to sleep on a night. So that means that you're working in the right way. I mean, it's literally been less than a minute since part 1 to 2. So we have forgot what we talked about, which is a great thing. Yeah. So let me ask you this. If somebody calls Daniela, because some people might think, oh, I really like Daniela. I really like, because some people will say, I don't attune to her. I don't like her. I don't like her hair. I don't like a dog. You know, like we do. People don't like me and some people like me. But the people who feel you are the right people. They're the people who need your help. That's what we now know. So if people like you and somebody says, you know what, I want to get in contact with Daniela, and hey, Daniela, what do I need to do, Daniela? I want a reading, and like everybody else, I'm a little bit frightened. I don't really know what to expect. You know, how would you imagine I came to you, right? And you didn't know who I was, and I'd say this. Just talk us through it now, right? Hi, Daniela. My name's Mark. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm being an actor here, by the way. I'm a little bit nervous, and I don't really. I'd like to know my future. I'd like to know, you know, if everything's okay. What is it? What is it you do, Daniela? How can you help me, or can you help me?
Yeah, so, you know, I do get that. Usually people will book in first and then they'll tell me they're really nervous.
Exactly.
So it's really, for me, just creating an environment for people where by the time their reading comes round, I've got them in a relaxed energy. So I will be as lighthearted as possible. Yeah, anything that will help put them at ease.
Brilliant.
That by the time we actually get into the reading, they've completely forgotten that they're nervous.
That's beautiful. And you do that because it's important that you know that if they're on a happier level, they're more open to allowing the truth to come through. Have you ever had anybody who actually doesn't want to read it, that this was one of my favorites. I keep asking my husband to come for a reading, but he just doesn't want to come. Have you ever had that?
Yeah. People saying, I know that my husband would find this so valuable, but he's just not open to it at all. And I just have to say to them, if he's not open to it, then there's absolutely no point. You know, I could juggle fire and it just wouldn't make any difference.
It's true. But not just that. There's also that there's a part of this that used to fascinate me, because a lot of people don't want to come because they're frightened.
Yeah.
Literally don't want to go down that path. And then there's another side of people who, well, I don't want them to know what I know, and I don't want them to find out what I'm doing. So there's such a variety of people who don't come for readings when their partners suggest them to. But one thing is I do find fascinating is it's important that you don't force somebody to come, because I think that's the worst thing you can do. I think people, what I'm talking about them when they say, I'm trying to get them to come. Stop. Don't do that, because it's going to ruin it for me. I don't want somebody sat in front of me who's like, you know, peed off because their partner said, if you don't go, I'll be upset. You know, you don't want that. You want somebody open.
And there's nothing worse, Mark, and I'm sure you know this, to have a reading with somebody that's not receptive to your energy at all, even though they're the ones that have booked it. You can feel the difference in a client that doesn't want to open up.
Right.
Or is maybe trying to test you in terms
I remember them days.
Yeah.
Stronger, they don't even bother you, and then they don't test you anymore because you tell them to shut up, don't speak. And then you just look down, start reading, and they go, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how do you know? Like, yeah. I used to get that
a lot. How on earth do you know that? Because and this is the thing, you know, I think there's part of you that actually also kind of becomes a counselor, and I make it very clear to the people that I read for that it is completely confidential, because you do see some things that people wouldn't necessarily want shared.
Absolutely.
So you know, you're not just a reader, you're a friend, you're a little bit of a counselor in the sense that, because it's so confidential, you know, and you do at times have to be a bit diplomatic when you do certain things.
Well, not just diplomatic, but like for me, it's like I am not judging what you've done and been through.
Yeah.
Who am I to judge? You know, he without sin cast the first stone. I have had times myself where I've read for somebody who's done the most terrible things, but then I thought, well, okay, I can just say, get out, you beast. Or I can say, maybe I can help this person stop becoming a beast.
Yeah.
So I felt more happier just reading for somebody, and then the wife saying he doesn't beat me anymore, or he stopped abusing the child. And but that's why I say it takes a lot to become a reader, in a sense. But if we're actually wanting people to learn how to read the cards, that's the future, and the future always brings what you can deal with. I think, to a point. I mean, it's a cliche, but to a point, I think the only thing that stops us is our own fear about what we think is too much, or whatever. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you know, sorry, I've just completely lost my train of thought.
It's good. I want to ask you another question. When you did the course online at markbajerski.com, it was a bit, I presume, like when you watched it, it's so, you know, he's there. It's not fancy. It isn't filmed in a studio. He's just a guy talking, right? How did you cope with that to begin with? Because I worried that, oh, maybe I should have really made more of an effort here.
Oh, no. It was absolutely perfect. The sole focus is you and those cards.
Right.
Anything else would have been a distraction.
Totally. I never even thought about that. Even today, I think to myself, maybe I could have done it more nicer, and I should have put sort of plant there, or I should have done it with more whatever. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe anything else would have been a distraction. That's made me feel better. How did that course, from the start of booking on the course to going through that course and learning, how did it feel? How did it feel for you? Did it feel uncomfortable in any way? Did it feel bad, good, sad, happy? It doesn't matter. Just tell us what your feelings were when you were doing it.
You know, actually, Mark, every week when we'd have our classes.
Oh, it was live.
Yeah, we were doing.
Recorded it, so you did it live. You were one of the party. There was only a few of us, right? How many was there? There was only a few.
Maybe 12 of us at most.
Like that, yeah. So on that right, yeah, tell us, share your experience, because I'd love to hear it.
Just perfect magic for me. I looked forward to it every single week, because I knew I was going to get even more information, and I was so excited. And I'd have my little notebook, and I'd have my cards, and I'd be laying them all out and pick it, and just your energy. It's so beautiful, because your energy is so perfect next to those cards. So you had the giant ones. I'm sure I remember you had like a giant. Yes, that's it. Yeah. So, and they were on a little stand, the giant ones.
They were. They were.
Oh, because of your amazing energy, and because of the amazing artwork and energy of the cards, you're so focused. You're so anything else would have just been in the way.
Amazing.
Me, the way that you, obviously, because the cards do have their staples, there are certain things about those cards that when you initially start using them, it's more about kind of understanding that each one does have kind of its own purpose in a way.
With color, with shape, with the design, but in every card, you can look at a face 100 times and focus on, hey, there's something wrong with your eyes. Hey, there's something wrong with your gums, or there's something wrong with your throat. There's something wrong with your head. But yet you're looking at a head. You're looking at basically a head. But all of a sudden you're seeing different things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So to begin with, what we teach is the basic understanding of a card, but it goes deeper then, right?
Absolutely, way deeper. And even now I'm finding that sometimes the basic meaning almost is irrelevant with certain reads that I do, and I'm seeing things in them that I'm like, hang on a minute, this is completely new.
Right.
And you have to kind of just trust it, because at times it could throw you off if you're trying to think, hang on a minute, but I know it doesn't mean such and such or whatever. You have to just allow that to come out. And I think I've only had a couple of times after a reading where I thought, did I get that right? Did I really get that right? And then I have to just remember that it happened that way because it was supposed to happen that way.
Brilliant. I'm going to tell you a little story about this card. This looks quite a dangerous card, right? In this card, there's, and this is a profound story I was going to write in another book. In this card here, there's some teeth, right? This card, I was sat with a man from West Yorkshire, and I was reading for him one-to-one, and I said, I want you to be really careful of a guy wearing a bone, a tooth or a bone here. And I said, when you see him, I don't even want you to look at his eyes, but I want you to turn and I want you to run. And he laughed at me because he's a big guy, right? And he says, I don't turn and run for nobody. Okay. 2 weeks later, he got stabbed in the left-hand side of here. By a guy wearing a tooth that he looked in his eyes. And the guy had a knife in his pocket. He pulled it out and stabbed him. And he called me back and he says, I can't believe where I'm calling you from now, which was a hospital bed. And the guy was arrested. And he said he wore this thing. Now, how could I possibly know a man with that? Like, because the cards tell us things, we just see it. But most people in general, I don't know about you, most people in general are in awe afterwards when something's happened, but do they actually follow through with those things? I don't think there's more than 60%, maybe 60%, 50 and 60% who actually would follow the advice, but it doesn't matter. It's still an experience what they've gone through. But what I find fascinating is that they come back to me and tell me, oh, I wish I'd have listened. What did you bother coming for? You paid all that money and you didn't listen. It was there for you. But some people do. Some people do listen. And that's where we get something from it. And you think that's lovely. But I don't want to hear a message like that saying I'm in hospital and why didn't I listen to you? I'm like, well, what was the point in coming to me? You know? But it was given to them. That was there, not from me, it's from Spirit giving it to them to help them at a point in their life that could be a massive turning point in their life, or it could be a challenge. So as you were doing the readings, did you, through that week, did you take them few cards and start working with them few cards, or did you take all the cards and work with all of them?
Do you know, it was, I think I was still using the whole deck, even though.
Wow, brilliant. That's confidence then.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. When I first started learning them, I'm like, I can't do it. I don't even, and all of a sudden I realized, wow, they are good. But then I didn't dare look at any other cards because, I thought, okay, I've learned these cards. I'm just going to stick with these. And I was doing readings on friends and family. Were you doing any readings on friends and family?
Yeah, that's exactly how I started. And I wouldn't charge for my time or anything at first because I needed the practice. And I needed to grow in confidence. And I think only really happens, like with any work that you do, any job that you do, when you first start in a new job, a lot to learn, and a lot of what you learn is on the job training.
Right.
So it probably took me, I would say, maybe a year and a half before I wouldn't have that little sense of, oh, just before I read for somebody, like not wanting to mess it up. Now that's gone.
Amazing.
It's a completely different experience. And I have clients that I would read for at the start, and same clients that I read for now. And they say to me, the difference in the message, the difference in the whole experience is so obvious now that you're not a little bit edgy about it.
Right, exactly. It's that energy that you produce in the room. It's like when I used to do healings down at a hotel. You know, I like when I first started, they were okay, they were nice, people liked them. But given 2, 3, 4 years later, it was like, even me, I'm like, did that really happen? Like magic that happens when you create that energy. And that's why I realized when I go and see certain shamans, they have to prepare that room and to create that magic. And when it does, magic happens. And I've seen some awesome stuff happen with people, and with the work that I've done, that I thought, did that really happen? And people confirm things. Like, I remember one time I did this session with about 8 people, and the moment I said, and this was outside I was doing a session, the moment I said, the circle is complete, it is now over, every single candle, which was 100 candles, blew out. I didn't even know. I had no idea what, and everybody said, did you not just see what happened? And me being me, I'm just doing the work. And what happened? All the candles blew out the moment you said the work is complete. It was like, wow, really? Yes. And things like the magic that happens when people ring you back and say, this happened to me, that happened to me, you're never going to guess what. And it's like, yeah, I am going to guess. I do know it, because that's normal in my world.
Yeah.
Right? It's normal now. We hear this magic. It's normal now.
Oh, totally. You reach a point in your life with this where this work is, it's not a job. It's a life, really. And you find that pretty much everything that goes on in your life has this weave of magic through it. And I can't help but sometimes find in conversations with people that I can't go off on this tangent of these weird things that have happened or are happening, and I'm seeing things for them. So a friend of mine, I said to a friend of mine last night, oh, by the way, is everything okay with your sister? Because I had a dream last night, and when that happens, I like to just check up to make sure everything's okay. And I got this astounded voicemail this morning going, that is crazy. I spent the day talking to my sister yesterday because they're having a really hard time.
Right, exactly.
And it's not like I was able to say this is happening in their life or whatever. I just knew this person appeared in my dream. They were they weren't speaking, they wouldn't hug, and I just knew that was a flag.
And could it be, Daniela, in my world, that you were there helping them at that point? Your spirit moved out of the body while you were asleep, and that's why you were tuned to that person, and you were trying to heal them at that point. That is what I'm now coming to the understanding of now. Some dreams are not just dreams, they're actually our movement of our spirit as healers and doing the work. So that would be my thought.
A good question for you is, in terms of your sleep, for me, my mum has said to me over the years, a lot of people have said to me over the years, you sleep like you're dead,
right?
Like you barely breathe.
Well, that's because your spirit is not in the body. You've left the body, and the body is just a tool. It's there. If you shake that body, the spirit comes back into it, and then they become like life. This is what I believe. This is what I feel.
I've become very respectful of my body in terms of knowing how much sleep I need. In order for this to all happen.
Right.
And I'm tired a lot during the day because I'm so busy at night. It's such a fun thing. But you begin to understand the relationship between the spirit, you know, your soul, and then your body, and the separate functions they have, but that kind of mesh into that one.
Right.
And you begin to appreciate that they work in tandem, you know.
It's
And
deep for most people to get. It's very deep. It's something that a lot of people struggle with to actually grasp, because to me it's so profound and yet so simple. How could you not understand that? In my opinion, that when you're asleep, you're just, yeah, your physical body is resting, which it needs, but your spirit doesn't sleep. There is no sleep in your spirit. Your spirit is alive all the time. So
yeah,
your spirit can't sleep. When I connect to the spirit world, oh, sorry, they're not there. They're having a nap.
yeah.
Right? There's no such thing as space and time. There is no sleep. Energy is energy. It is constant. It's always there. The only thing that isn't is the physical body. And that, I think, that is the whole point. I think it's so profound that most people don't even get it. I don't even think it's been spoke about, but I say this: we're working 24/7, whether we know it one-to-one doing our readings and healings, or whether we're asleep, our spirit continues to work. It's a really beautiful thing to know and to share that with the world. You work, mate. I don't do anything. I'm useless. Actually, that's not true. You're not useless. Go to sleep, because that's when you really do the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So, Daniela, if somebody wants to contact you, how long do you normally expect somebody to call and say, "Oh, I'd like a session with you, Daniela"? Could you do it that day, or is it like, does it matter? Could it be like 2 days, 3 days, or do they have to wait a while because of certain reasons? Just so they know.
It really just depends. Like I said earlier, I don't really have a schedule as such. So
Brilliant.
there are times where I would do it the same day.
Brilliant. That's good, because a lot of clients want to know that if they ring you straight away. See, a lot of the times, Daniela, you'll probably figure this out, which I did. If you don't give them the answer there and then, a couple of days later, they've already got the answer. It's already resolved.
Yeah.
A lot of the times I used to say to people, this was my peace of mind. I was fully booked. And I'd say, you know what? Just give it 2 days and give me a call back.
Yeah.
They didn't call back because it was resolved.
Yeah. And I find that, and I find that I don't have to even put the effort into working that out.
Right.
So I had a client a few days ago who messaged me in the morning and said, "I don't suppose there's any chance you could fit me in today." I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And then I'll have other days where I know that I need 2 or 3 days.
Right.
I'll feel ready.
Right. Which means that everything is as it should be. And if they're meant to have a reading, they will. And if they don't, it means that there's a reason for it, and it will be resolved in its own other way. So sometimes the brain thinks, "Oh, this is a great idea," and then actually it doesn't happen, and they get mad, right? But then it's resolved in another way. So actually, don't get mad, because it's going to be fine. Because I used to get screamed at a lot of the times. Why are you not doing it for me now? And I'd say, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but you'll find out in the next few days. And in 2 days, it's resolved. And then I always get an apology. I've probably had more apologies in my life doing this work than ever. Come down them stairs, is this, is that, is this, is that. And then 2 weeks later, they come back and say, sorry. Actually, that was right. I'm not really sorry. Can I have another reading? And if I was an obnoxious creep, I'd say, no, you can't. You should have been nice first time. Right, but no, it was like, no problem. I get it. I understand pain. I understand suffering. I understand that we have to move from this place of need to know, and I need this answering, and me, to, you know what? Everything is as it should be. And that's what my teaching always was. Where you are is where you should be. Where you're going is where you're going to be taken. That's it. Meaning that stop getting upset with whatever is happening in your life. And that is such a profound, for me, that was so profound, them words, what came out of my mouth, like, frigging hell, that's for me.
I hadn't realized this until I listened yesterday to an Instagram video that you'd put up, and you were talking about a lady who'd done the course who said how much it had changed her life in all of these different ways. And I sat and I reflected on that for quite a while yesterday, and I realized something that I hadn't even occurred to me. The level of trust that I've developed in doing this work has filtered through into my personal life.
Right.
Honestly, I hadn't even considered.
Amazing.
Developed a trust in my own journey and in my own experiences.
Yeah.
While it's not 100%, and there's times I absolutely want to stamp my feet, because who doesn't?
Totally.
There is this trust has filtered through into every aspect of my experience here.
Yeah. So being with somebody, you're more, you're calmer, you're a different person than you were before. And I could say that before I did the readings and the cards and the healing, I was like a fiery Italian, half Polish, like a cocktail, not good for anybody, right? And I was fiery and all of these things and stubborn and everything. Now, after doing it, I think, you know what? I really am a better person than what my dad was, because I always reflect on my dad as being my measuring stick to how if I'm getting better or not. So am I as angry as my dad? Do I mimic what my dad taught me to mimic as a child? That's natural behavior. Am I breaking that mold? So I'm proud of myself, because I still knee jerk. I've got my dad in me. I've got that DNA, that energy in me. But predominantly, I would say the cards saved my life.
Yeah.
And people go, but they're evil. They're evil. They're filled with it. And I said to this one girl who came, who wanted to learn reading cards, I said, what do you think about the cards? And she says, I don't know. And I went, oh, I said, where are you from? And she told me. And I said, are you religious? She said, no, I know nothing about religion. And then I realized, wow. And she's a brilliant reader now, like you. And I realized, wow, there was no unlearning, because nobody had programmed her to evil and to all the stuff that we believe is real, which is nonsense.
And it's so
somebody who's never been taught that.
Well, this is it, and it's so funny. I don't take offense when people think it's evil. I've had inbox messages, and I know you have over the years.
No, me never.
Oh my God, being called devil, and I
son,
and and it's so funny, Mark, because when you live this work and you see the peace that people experience, and the healing that they experience, and their own healing, and the magic in those readings,
and the love that comes out of it,
the absolute stunning beauty that you see all around because of this work, it just makes me laugh that people think it's evil.
Well, those people that I wanted, because part of my work was to understand what was going on in every aspect. So on year, I think 4 to year 5, I took it upon myself to do natural science, which is to observe and see and understand. So every time somebody sent me a message saying I was the devil's son, and Father O'Brien would be turning over in his grave now, when I was on Talk Radio Europe in Spain, doing psychic readings. Or coincidentally, the host who was there, I told him, you're going to be losing your job tomorrow. And he went, and then the following day he lost his job. So and like he said, now I believe you. No. And then I did another talk show, Heart FM, and the big guy there who believes nothing in that, I said, the son that you had and you've never seen for 18 years, he'll come back to you in another 2 years. He came out of that door, his jaw dropped, and looked at Lee and said, how did he just know that? How did he know I've got a son that I haven't seen in so many years? You see, when you attune to this energy and you realize that it's actually there for all of us to attune to, then you realize that we all have the gift of sight, foresight. We all have the gift of seeing past, present, and future, which is all as one to me. I don't discriminate between that. It's all as one. It is what it is. But I think, like, if somebody wants to come to you to learn reading, anybody at any level can come, because if you've read and you're a tarot reader all your life and you're open to learning new, I think that's beautiful. If you've never known anything about a card, I think it's beautiful because it's fresh.
Oh,
You know, so there's no real, or you shouldn't come, or you should come. It's just that if you're knocking on the door and somebody says, Daniela, I think I'd like to have a session to learn how to read the cards, or for you to read for me, I think it's all as it should be, and
yeah.
have the experience just for the experience. And if it feels right, it feels right. If it doesn't, brilliant. That's what I used to say. If it doesn't feel right, good, you're listening to yourself, and that's not your path. That shouldn't be egoistic for me, because everybody's got their own path. I've read for people and I've never seen them again. I've taught people and they've never used it again, but it was an experience.
Yeah.
I think good for you, because you know where you're going. And actually, they didn't want to do that. They ended up doing something else, but at least they tried it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really sad when people, stop themselves from just trying and having a feel of something, because you never know what you get from it. Because I have this saying that if you start here and go there, and then if it doesn't feel right, you go there, and if it doesn't feel right, you go there, and if it doesn't feel right and you go there, and, oh, this is it. I say that if it wasn't from going to there, to there, to there, to there, you would have never have got to there. The whole point is doing all of these things to get to where you're going.
Absolutely. And that's in every aspect of your life, every aspect. I know people, I've read for people that have told me that they can't have a successful relationship because such and such has happened to them in the past, or they're not capable of doing this or that or the other. And then I watch them progress and grow, and they find themselves doing the very thing that they have adamantly believed they would never be able to do.
And you know what? They never even see it sometimes.
No.
You have to point it out to them.
Absolutely.
It's really strange, that, isn't it? I'm the same, because somebody said something to me the other day and I went, really? Am I? Wow, I didn't even see that. Oh, yeah, I've seen it. I'm like, oh, wow, well, that's really good. But when it's so close, Daniel, when it's so in your face, it's hard for you to see,
Yeah, it's like doing this, isn't it?
Yeah, how do you see it? It's impossible. But when we read for somebody, we are standing back, we're looking at everything. So it's easier for us to see what they have never seen. Like, you're actually a beautiful soul. Did you know that? No. Yeah, you are. And actually, you do a lot of beautiful things, and you do this. And do you realize how powerful that is and rare? No. And we confirm to them things that they forgot, or they choose to ignore because of mainstream programming, that you are not good enough, that you have to be this, you have to do that. And we break down the barriers, I think. Do you feel like you're breaking down a lot of barriers for people?
So much. I read for a really close friend of mine the other night, the girl that I'm teaching. And I told her what a wonderful parent, wonderful mother she is. And these floodgates just opened, and I could see the weight fall off of her shoulders.
She needed it.
Popped away.
She
and
needed it.
She sent me a message last night and said, I slept better last night than I ages. There was this sense of relief and peace that came from that reading.
I think if children were taught how to recognize love, compassion, gifts, all of these things within somebody else as part of their teaching, I think there would be no bullying. I remember at school, we all sat down at school and we all had to write something about somebody, but it had to be nice. And I remember writing for Donald Mullany, saying that you make me laugh, you make everybody laugh. And everybody got something, right? And I think even to this day, people still either remember it or have that piece of paper.
Yeah.
How profound is that the darkness of the school system doesn't even allow that to, they might have a one-off, but never as a continuum to how we should be as humanity to one another, to respect and acknowledge somebody else's gifts, love and kindness, that will then, oh my God, I am that person, and that then confirms them to continue being that person, rather than shut up Bajerski, shut up Daniela, that's enough, stop talking, stop disruptive, you know what I mean?
It's basically a lesson in how to pigeonhole children and to become compliant adults. As far as I'm concerned, that's what the school system does. And you know, I'm sure there are a lot of teachers out there who are incredibly happy that my children are no longer in the school system because they're grown up, because I would challenge them at every turn. I didn't feel it appropriate that the children were shouted at. I didn't feel it appropriate that the children were put in a position where they weren't allowed to express themselves and find their creativity. And I think some of the problem as we move into adulthood is, you know, the system tells you that by 16 you should know what you want to be and you should start training at that. I mean, it's taken me until I was in my late 30s to have any idea about where I felt I belonged and what felt right for me, work-wise, family-wise, all of those things. Because you're just taught structure from day one.
You're brainwashed from day one. You are brainwashed into a religion. It's a religion. This system is like a religion. You are brainwashed. What are you going to be? A doctor? Are you going to be a nurse? Are you going to be a fireman? Are you going to be a scientist? I'm going to be a free spirit, and I'm going to float around the earth, and I'm going to play around and have what was it John Lennon said? Do you remember when asked? I don't know if this was real or not, but they asked him as a kid something about life and what's the meaning of life, and or something like that. He said happiness, and they said no, I meant you don't understand what I'm saying. He says you don't understand life. You don't. Something like that. And I was like that at school. The teacher used to look at me saying, you're going nowhere, Bajerski. You're going nowhere. You're going nowhere. Just them words was a spell. You're going nowhere, meaning that you're not going to fly free. So even the teachers were programmed to teach the children that they were going no. Bajerski, you're nothing. You're no one. You're going nowhere. So the teachers are complicit to the brainwashing and the actual torture of children in a way that is deemed legal. Where I see is it's so illegal. And a lot of my clients were teachers, and they left the teaching industry because they said, I can't work in this religion, this SS mentality, this structure. And a lot of teachers left, a lot of doctors stopped their profession, a lot of nurses left, a lot of frontline workers left. But you know what? For every teacher that leaves, there's 30 others ready to jump on that corner to sell drugs like a drug dealer. Shoot that one, we've got another one to take its place. Right?
You know, I made a video years ago now that went viral on YouTube about the school system, and I was explaining in that video that for me personally, the way I saw it was that they teach all this anti-bullying stuff at school, but what people don't seem to recognize is that they tell you that children learn bullying from home. No, they don't. They learn it at school. They are bullied by the teachers. They're bullied by this hierarchy system, and that's where they learn to bully other children.
Absolutely, 100%. There is no doubt what you've just said is profound. I was whipped by my teachers. I was lifted up by Mrs. Taliska like that on my tiptoes as she spoke slowly and softly and told me what I'd done wrong, waiting for knowing that my feet were going to start to get so tired that my feet would go down. And at that point, as it pulled, I'd be screaming. So I know every teacher that held their hand out to hold my hand, called the golden handshake. So he would squeeze it and my bones would crack. If that is not bullying, If that's not bullying, and now they can't do that, but they can bully you in another way,
well,
a psychological.
It's control now. So what they'll do instead is, if one child has misbehaved, then they will threaten to punish the entire class.
Pigs. I mean, I just want to say, I want to swear when I hear that. Yeah. Because that is exactly what the system does to all of us. What is it doing now? If you're not having that jab, we're going to punish everybody. Yeah. So now everybody is coming for you because you've not had your jab at me. It's the same system, SS program.
Yeah.
And it works. It bloody works. Bad. But the nice thing about it is that there's some beautiful light workers in the world who see through this, and we share our light like you do every day, and you work one-to-one, because I believe that healing one soul at a time is just as profound as speaking to an audience of 1 million. I would rather one-to-one. I think that's more powerful, in my opinion. But there are times that you have to grow, and I've grown, and I do speak to masses like you do as well. But it is profound one-to-one, because there's nothing more beautiful than attuning to that one soul and being present to them for one beautiful hour of giving them everything.
It keeps you connected, and this is the thing. It's all very well having that larger audience that are connecting with you, but when you're able to connect on a one-to-one level with people, it keeps you focused, it keeps you healed as well as them. You know, there's very much a mutual exchange there, and it keeps you personable, and that's so valuable. You can't you can't underestimate the power of being accessible to people when you do this work.
Totally. I think one of the things that I noticed is I grew younger in mind, body, and spirit. I felt younger because what I was doing was, each time I was doing a session, I was peeling away. I know it's a corny expression, but it's the peeling of the onion. And I'm like, every time I do a session, I'm learning, I'm feeling, I'm healing, I'm growing, I'm observing and becoming, a master, observing this beautiful moment in life and what I need to heal from. I am the mirror of my client. My client is the mirror of me. We are receiving ultimate messages between us. So I don't know about you, but my greatest healing of IBS, corroded back, anger issues, sadness issues, holding on to pain and suffering, and being upset for long periods of time, all that's gone. It's all gone. Somebody asks me, how do you heal? I say, start reading, start becoming, start doing readings, and start learning about this, because I got so much from it. That's why. What do you think to that?
Oh, absolutely, 100% agree with that. And you don't even really notice that it's happening. It's a progression. And I found that I used to be filled with pain, very, heartbroken and
totally
troubled by that. I felt like I was troubled.
Totally.
And now I wake up every day and I open my eyes and my little brain starts going, and then I just say thank you.
Yeah.
And it's just there now. In my head I say that. Yeah. And I get to bed and I trot down the stairs, make my turmeric tea, and the day begins. I have no structure to my day at all. Most of the time I don't know what week it is.
Isn't that freedom though? Isn't that bliss? Everything that we've been given and taught is all about structure, time, deadlines. I mean, don't you just love that word, deadline? I mean, you're gonna die. Deadline. It's a deadline. You've got to get up. It's this time. Go to work. If you don't get to work, you're going to get screamed at. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? You can keep it for yourself, mate. So by doing this kind of work, and if you want to learn how to become a reader, there's a strong possibility that there's a lot of people who like readings. There's a lot that the industry of psychic and this kind of work is, I think it goes into its billions, if not trillions. Right. So that means that that if you become a reader, there's a chance that people are going to want a reading. So that could be a great way to heal yourself and to break free from the system.
Oh, it's absolutely given me that. Absolutely. I have no connection to the system. I'm as off grid as you could possibly get while still living in a house,
Exactly. And still having to pay rent and still having to do all those things, but you're not beholden to it. It doesn't affect you as it once did, like it did me. It held me in its grasp. It had me hook, line, and sinker, and I bought into it and paid into it and realized one day, I need to get away from this. I need to break free from this. And I did, Danielle. I sold everything. I sold the house, everything, and drove away from it. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
So it's been lovely talking to you, Daniela. Is there anything that you'd like to say or mention about your work or anything at all? I mean, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I think we're going to have another chat. I think we'll do this on a regular basis because maybe people might want to ask more questions and we'll get each other on and talk like this. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it? Was it okay?
So much. And I think that's a wonderful idea, is to do some Q&As with people, because they must have questions. We all do with stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's a really, really fantastic idea. In terms of if people want to connect with me on Facebook and with readings and stuff like that, just type my name into Facebook and you can find me very easily.
Right. So is it okay if I put the link under here?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you're up for a bit of teaching and sessions as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Because I think if I had a teacher, if I was looking for a teacher, you'd be a beautiful teacher to have, because I think you've got patience and I think you'd be an ideal guide for my work. So thank you so much, and it gives people an opportunity now to think about it. If they do want to, if any of you guys want to learn how to read with me to start with, and then maybe follow on with Daniela. I don't know about you, Daniela, but I think the course, it's not expensive. It's not expensive. And after that, they've got the cards, they've got the tools, everything. And then if they want to progress, how about they're coming to you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would absolutely recommend that they start with your course first, because you put it together so brilliantly, and it gives people that foundation to work from. And then if they want to come to me afterwards for a little bit, further assistance, whatever.
Looking deeper, and how one thing I didn't teach on there that I used to do when I used to do it here was how to do readings in certain ways. On the course, it was more about learning about the cards and giving foundations, but I think you can help them with readings and give them all your guidance about how you would move forward with this reading and what you would see. So I think it's probably a really good to do the course first and then to come to you and keep going from there on. I think that would be a really good thing. So let's do that, and then come together in a couple of weeks' time. And then if anybody's got any questions and answers, we will spend a Q&A on questions and answers. How's that sound?
That would be so much fun.
All right, brilliant. Daniela, thank you so much for being my first guest on Mark Bajerski YouTube channel, and I wish you a lovely day, whatever you're doing, and you probably don't even know, which is great. Neither do I.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been the best.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can get this recorded and all set up, and let the viewers enjoy 48 minutes of bliss. See you later. Bye.